9 costly hiring mistakes you don't want to make. And here's the thing, when I say costly, it means your time, your money. I cannot wait to dive into these with you today. Now, in case you've missed it, we did part one just a few days ago, where I gave you our 5-part framework for hiring. This is something where you can listen to that episode and completely move forward and implement immediately in your next hire. Okay. I cannot wait to hear what changes you've made and how you feel the impact. Now, yesterday, we talked about 3 different positions every business needs. And then we assessed who you were, which, by the way, if you've watched the replay and you're now here, who are you? Which one do you naturally step into? Are you more of the product, right? Product focus, marketing focus, or are you in operations? And then really giving you a guide of figuring out, where do you go next, right? What do you hire next? What do you do from here? Okay. Now today, it's all about the 9 costly mistakes. Now, if you haven't taken us up on our free assessment, I want to quickly share with you what that looks like. So with our free assessment, you're going to answer a bunch of questions to get in. Everything you answer is remaining confidential with our team, right? They're going to jump on a call. It's about 20 minutes. They're going to take your answers. Here is why I tell people, you've got to be honest and you've got to actually share the stuff you don't want to share. When people take assessments or quizzes, right? Sometimes we tend to expand upon, or lie a tiny bit, because we're like, I can't say this or I can't say that. But if you're honest, okay, if you're really, really honest and you put those real answers in, what's going to happen is my team is going to look through it and they're literally going to diagnose where the leaks are in your business. Imagine you have a roof and there's a leak somewhere, and you are over in this corner and you are trying to do your best to fix this, but the leak is over there and you are not even close to where it is. That is what we are doing in that assessment call. They are going to show you some blind spots, things you cannot see, and give you a suggestion or 2 or 3, depending on where you're at, of where to go next. What are some places they would see? These will be tactical things for you to do. This will not be join our program. This will be, I think your next hire is this. I actually think you don't need to hire right now. I think you need to focus on product mastery, right? They're going to tell you and be super honest to basically show you the leak is over here. Focus your time and energy over here. And why do we do these free assessments? Because I know that when you get value out of a training like this or a call like that, when you're ready to hire us, when you're ready to hire a person that teaches systems and team and organization and all of that, marketing and revenue and profit, right? When you're ready to hire that person, we're going to come to mind, right? Because if we're able to help you with some of our free stuff, what's inside behind closed doors is even better. Okay. So take us up. You can go to stacytushel.com/free assessment. All right, let's dive in. Who's ready? So come say hi if you're here live. If you're watching the replay, put in #replay. Sound good? Okay. So, number 1, I want to cover. Now, there's no rhyme or reason for this order. It was really as I was, brain dumping it, and then I was trying to put it in order. I'm like, they're just all over the place, but these are really, really important. Okay. So number 1 is knowing when to go with your gut versus the facts. Okay. So there are red flags, but your gut says, but they're a good person, or I know them, or my friend knows them and she said all this amazing stuff about them. Okay. Maybe I should still give them a shot. Okay. No, no. Okay. You've really got to get good at saying these are red flags. And I know that all the other signs say I should hire them. However, my gut is saying this is not good. I will tell you this. I have never had a good experience when my gut says, don't do it. Okay. So let me explain that. If my gut has said, bummer, she was late to the interview, the second one, but she made up an excuse and she had a really valid reason. I totally get that she would be late, right? You make that excuse up and you forget the red flag and you hire anyway. And then you figure out she's one of those people that's always late and every team meeting you have moving forward, you will always be waiting for her, that is not good. Okay. Do not make excuses. Okay. Now here's what I should have done. That was something I did. I said, oh, no, that makes sense. I'd be late if that happened too. And there's just a couple minutes, right? But she was a couple minutes late to every single thing I ever met with her ever again. And the team started to be resentful. Why does she get to show up late? And then we're sitting here waiting for her. We're wasting everybody's time. What I should have done was said, I think from there, we went right into the next step. I should have made another appointment or two to test out, can she show up in time? Because I bet I would have seen that she would have been late again. And then I wouldn't have hired her. Okay, number 2. Big mistake, hiring people just like you. You like them, right? If you're a visionary and you're like, oh my goodness, they're a visionary, right? Or, oh, wow, they do this too. And I'm just like that. Or they're super type A like me. What you want to find is that yin to yang, right? You want to find the opposite, because what you don't see, they will. So if you're somebody who's really artsy and really creative and you can make beautiful graphic designs, but you're not that great at catching typos or things like that, you want to hire somebody that is good at that stuff, right? In my studio, we know who the nitpick typo people are. Whenever we have something really important, like a big schedule we're about to print 5,000 copies of, we'll pass that along to Tiffany or Jenny. Like, we know they are going to read through that and they are going to catch all the things. You need to find people that are different than you, not similar to you. Okay. So do not hire people just like you. Number 3, not posting in enough places or relying on one place that you always post, right? So people always say to me, I just don't know where to find good people. Okay. Here is what I want you to understand. Use your network as well as leverage what you have. So what do I mean by that? Social media. Are you posting it on your social? Now, you might think, do I really want to show off that we're hiring? Is that going to look bad that we're in need? I actually think hiring looks good. I think when you show off your hiring, it's like, they're growing again. They're getting bigger again. Oh my goodness, they're always hiring, right? People have said to me, every time I look at you, somebody new has been added to your team. Like, you must be getting big. It looks good. So do not think it doesn't look good to show that. Okay. Now, perception is everything. You control what you're putting out there. So no, you don't want to say we're in desperate need of somebody to work. You say our incredible company of blah, 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 right? Who specializes in XYZ is looking for our next member of our dream team. If you know somebody or you are looking for XYZ, think about joining us, right? It can look really good. So definitely social. Your website, having a careers page on your website. Another thing, ask your employees to share. Good people know good people, right? So what can you do? Whether you want to put in some sort of referral bonus, right? Somebody that refers somebody. This is a really big one we use in our studio sometimes in our studio, we do feel desperate. We are in an industry where we can't just hire anybody in off the street. We're hoping you've been taking dance classes since you were 3 years old, right? Like, this is who we're looking for. So it's very difficult sometimes, but we know good teachers, good dancers have friends who are good dancers because they were in group dance classes. So we want them to go recruit their friends. And we have a referral bonus over there that we pay out after 90 days of employment. Okay. So that's another way to do that. But places like Indeed, Craigslist, still hit or miss for us, but we still use it in certain places. Facebook groups, right? Sometimes there are people in Facebook groups based off of their job position, right? Or places where you're allowed to post. So please make sure that you are not just putting it on your website or going to just Craigslist and then wondering why nobody's doing it. Definitely start to spread it out. Okay. Number 4, hiring too late. I think I just said this a second ago. Desperate people hire desperate people, right? You're just like, we'll take anybody. You want to work the front desk? Come on in. Like, doesn't even matter, right? Sometimes we are a little desperate. Hiring too late puts you in that energy of, we'll just take it. And you don't ever want to be in that energy. Okay. You can put out job postings even when you aren't completely ready to hire right this second. Couple things why. First, sometimes positions can take months to fill. Okay. And like I said, putting out those postings for future positions, it doesn't look bad. It's like, wow, it's that reputation of wow, constantly growing, right? Now, when you put out a job posting and you put it out before you're a little bit ready, one thing I always tell people that people don't realize is you can always make a job offer in the future. So typically, I like to hire people that are still in a job. I don't like to have somebody who just quit their job out of nowhere and now they're looking, right? A lot of times I do like to see that they've been consistent at a workplace. So my point is, if somebody is looking for their next job and they're working at a certain place, it is possible that you could say to somebody, listen, we love you. We'd like to offer you a position. Right now it's November, but you could say, it wouldn't start till January 1st. Okay. People are blown away when I say you can tell them, yes, you got the position, but it starts then. Because what happens is they keep the job they currently have, right? Some of them, I actually love when this happens. Some of them will give their employment, they'll give them that notice of, listen, I'm going to be leaving in 2 months. I'm here to do whatever I need to do. Or they'll plan their 2-week notice before they jump over, right? So you can do it before you're ready. You can get out there. And here's the deal. Sometimes I do it before I'm ready. And then it still turns into a desperate situation because, wow, this position's taking longer to fill than I thought. We've had job openings for sometimes 6 months. Okay. So don't think you can't do it too soon. Number 5, doing it alone. So don't hire alone. Get a second opinion. Now, somebody told me this, one of my mentors, long time ago. And I never really took that too seriously because it was just me in the business at the time, or I had a couple hires, but they weren't anybody to be interviewing somebody else. I practically just hired them. I really think you should have your spouse, a friend, your sister, anybody in there. Okay. Now, I think the reason when I look back and I'm a rule follower, if my coach tells me to do something, I do it. And I did not listen to that. And I was wondering why I didn't listen. And I think what it was is back in the day, I used to be super nervous to interview somebody. Like if I were to be holding a paper with questions, it would be like shaking. Okay. And I think I remember thinking, I don't want somebody in there witnessing me be so bad at interviewing. Right. So it was my ego getting in the way, but my ego got in the way of me hiring bad hires because I wasn't catching things that somebody else might've caught. So remember, when you fall in love with somebody, and you know, just from her resume, like she is the person you've been waiting for, right? All of a sudden, interview 1, she kind of bombs it and you don't even notice because you are in your mind, you're like, this is it. She's my girl. I've already seen this many resumes and this many people. And like, this is going to be it. And you will start to become delusional. If you invite your sister, your spouse, your whoever, a friend, anybody, somebody's going to say, listen, I don't know what you were seeing, but I noticed X, Y, and Z. And this is not somebody that I would consider moving forward with, right? So be careful. I was just going to say something off of that. Spouse, don't do it alone. What are you going to catch? It'll come back to me. I'll come back when I think of it. So please get a second opinion. Okay. Number 6, not enough round. Oh, this is what I was going to say. I got to go back. People always think, but that would be weird if I was like, this is my sister, this is my mom. You don't have to introduce who they are, right? You can say, oh, this is Jamie, right? You don't have to say their position. Now, here's what we have to forget. Even though we're nervous and shaking, they're nervous and shaking. They're hoping to get this job. So most people are not going to be like, and what does Jamie do here? Right? They're like, hi, Jamie, nice to meet you. Because they're also nervous. So don't think you have to actually say who this is, right? And most people will not ask you what position they hold, right? Okay, number 6, not enough rounds of interviews. I have done this lots and lots and lots. Again, desperate, you do desperate things. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm not kidding. I have literally told somebody in an interview while the first round of the interview is for 15 minutes, like you've got the job. Like, this is amazing. Okay. first of all, please don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. You want multiple rounds of interviews. Now, here's the crazy part. I used to not do them, or I would do them and think, I don't know what else to ask her or him, right? So they would make them short, like they would get shorter because I didn't know what else to ask. Here's what I've learned. Ask the same questions. Ask it in a different way. What's really cool is take notes from each time. It's cool, but it's also sad, is you'll learn if they're consistent or not. So people that lie, it's hard to keep track of lies, right? So what happens is when you ask them something and they tell you the answer, if it wasn't a true answer, they kind of just made something to sound good up on the spot. And then the second round, you ask a very similar question. It's hard to remember what that random thing was you just made up. So you are going to find out very quickly who's showing authenticity and who's being truthful and who's contradicting themselves. So she said in interview 1, this statement. Interview 2, she kind of said the opposite. You'll start to find more red flags by having multiple rounds of interviews. Okay. Now, if you are not going to be this person's manager, okay, so some of you have bigger teams. If you are not hiring this person to be working directly with you, I would absolutely have that manager sitting in on those interviews, right? Maybe at some point they're the ones interviewing them, but I really do want to be on the finals. I want to be on the same page as my manager. So if Sarah's hiring somebody for her department and Sarah does not like this person at all, I am not going to force Sarah to hire that person, because if she's the manager and I need them to get along, it's going to be really hard, right? I want to give that level of respect to my managers to be able to put in and weigh in on that decision to say, listen, I don't think this is going to be a good fit, right? Now, obviously we can have a discussion if we're not seeing eye to eye, but it should be a discussion and you should come to a mutual agreement at the end of it. Okay. All right. Number 7, where am I? Ooh, this is a good one. Not understanding the difference between underpaying and you training that person versus paying more, but they know what they're doing. Does that make sense? Can you give me a yes in the chat so I know that you're still with me? So there are 2 options, right? You can pay on the lower end and expect that you will be training this person and having to pour a lot into them. Or you can pay on the higher end and they come with the experience where sometimes they're teaching me what to be doing in that role. Okay. So I'm okay when people say there shouldn't be a range. It should be this position is $25 an hour. And I'm going, no, I don't agree with that, because if I get somebody in who's fresh out of college, who's super smart and I like her personality or his personality, but I'm going to have to do a lot to train them, I'm not going to pay them the same amount of money from somebody who comes with 20 years of this exact position and they've already been doing it and excelling at another business. They should not be getting the same pay scale. So the point here is, no, there's a difference. Okay. A lot of times we won't even list salary, or we will put a range and we let people know it is based on experience. So you don't have experience quite yet. We're starting you at the bottom stages, but know that you can get there, right? So what is the strategy and what do you need right now? So let's say you desperately need a social media manager. You never do it. You're really bad at it. You just want to get it off your plate. If you go on the lower end and you're not good at it and you're not doing it, right? And you pay on the lower end, they're not going to just come in and be the most amazing person you've ever seen and be running the show and doing all the things. So you may have to decide, I probably need to pay a little bit more to get somebody who has experience, who has done this before, who knows, who's going to be giving me suggestions, or he's going to be asking me for this video or this photo, or right. They're going to be more in control. You have to ask yourself, is this a position you're willing to really mentor and train them? And then you can go with somebody with no experience. Or sometimes I see, especially depending on management roles, if you need somebody to come in and be manager of operations, or something like that, right? Marketing. A lot of times you're not hoping for the newbie, you're hoping for somebody a little bit more experienced, but then understand you're going to be paying more for that. Okay, that was number 7. Number 8, giving them what they ask for salary. You guys, I'm so embarrassed to tell you the stuff that I did, but I did it. And I would say, so what are you hoping to make? And they would say, oh, like $15 an hour. And then I would pay them $15 an hour. Now, here's what I realized. Okay. Most people ask on purpose for a little bit more. It's kind of like a car. When you see a car is for sale by owner and it says it's $5,000, what are you going to do? You're going to go in and you're probably going to negotiate for $4,000 or $4,500 or something, right? But here's the deal. We all know this. If you've ever sold a car, you know this. You know you're probably not going to get the price that you're asking. I know today's market's different, but normally that's not the case. So if you want $7,000 from this car, what do? I know what I do. I put it at $7,500 because I know they're going to come down a little bit and I want to be able to negotiate with them and give them what they want. Well, a lot of people coming to us are thinking the same thing. They're like, I don't want this anything lower than 50,000. So I'm going to go and asking for 60, right? And then what happens is you, the owner with no experience, who's shaking in the interview is like, okay, 60 sounds great. And they would have possibly done a little less, right? Or it wasn't even what they were hoping for. I'm not saying underpay your people. By no means am I saying underpay your people. But what I am saying is don't just give them what they're asking, because that's not necessarily what they're even hoping to get out of it. Okay. I will say too, people stay at places for more than just money, right? If it's a better working environment or the fact that maybe it's remote. So let's say a position I have in my business is paid $17 an hour and they're fully remote and they pick their own schedule and they find another job for let's say $3 an hour more, $20 an hour, but they have to go into the building Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. There are some people that are going to say, I'm taking this job for less money that is remote, that has a good company culture, right? All of the things. So please know that you're not only competing on price, you're really competing based off a package, right? A package deal. So the moral of the story is know your range. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not trying to say underpay your people. When you say, how much are you looking for? And they say 22 an hour, I want you to do that thing of, well, I was willing to pay 20 for somebody who's not experienced, and I was willing to go up to 25 for somebody who was experienced. They're asking for 22, and I kind of feel like they're way over here. You can go back and say, listen, like, don't be undercutting people, but really say, we're looking at this for the level of experience you currently have. The good news is there is room for growth. There is potential for this. Now, another thing that we'll do sometimes when people are demanding like, no, I'm worth 50,000 a year. I'm worth $20 an hour, whatever it is. Okay. I don't know you. And I don't know if you really are. Like, yes, you're saying you're amazing, but I haven't seen it. Right. So sometimes what we'll do is we'll actually go in lower than what they've asked for or what we were thinking for 90 days. And then we say, and if at 90 days, this is a good fit, we are going to go up to this. So if somebody really wants 22 an hour, and you're thinking, I can't imagine going more than 20 for this position, you could say 20 with the opportunity to go to whatever number at whatever month you want. You could say 90 days. You could say 6 months. For us, tomorrow we're going to go all into this, but we are using those first 90 days to figure out, should you be here or not? So when you say to somebody, hey, listen, you're going to get this pay. And then at 90 days, it would be this much, right? What's amazing is if they're not a good fit, they're never making that kind of money. So don't think, I just don't know how I'm going to ever pay them that. Yes, but you're assessing, are they good or not? Okay. Tomorrow, do not miss it. It is like what we're calling the make or break of the hiring process. It's all about those first 90 days. Okay. So that was number 8. Questions, put them in the chat. Number 9, this is the worst. I put it at the end on purpose. Number 9, you have 0 time on your calendar to ever support them as soon as you hire them. Or your manager, who you are going to have be their manager, has 0 time to help them. This is the worst part, because you will hire somebody, they will come on your team, you will pay them, they will not work very often or very intense, right? Because there is nothing for them to do because you have not reserve time on your calendar to train them. So they're sitting here doing nothing, right? And you don't have time for that. So what I want you to make sure you do is before you ever hire somebody, I want you to ask yourself, when would I train this person? What time could I give them? What days could I train them? What would this look like? And block it on your calendar. Block it out. So even if you go to hire somebody, you might think it might take a few months, go reserve that time ahead of time. And then guess what? Bonus time when you don't have them on your team yet, and you can do whatever you need to do. I want you to actually reserve time throughout the day to work with them. Okay. If you don't have time to invest in them, it is not the time to hire. You have to make the time. My favorite phrase about this is, if the flower doesn't bloom, it's not the flower's fault. It's most likely the environment. It wasn't watered. The sunlight was either too much or not enough, right? That's usually why a flower doesn't bloom. That is the best analogy for a team. If a team member is not thriving in those first 90 days, it comes back to you. You either hired a bad apple, right? Or you didn't give him or her the time to thrive. If you don't have the time, you need to make the time. You need to have that temporary sacrifice for long-term success. Okay. Are you willing to make a temporary sacrifice? Say yes in the chat. All right. I'm guilty of number 9. I think I have the time. I gave a 5-minute breakdown and thought they got it, then got shocked when they were confused. Okay. I love this so much. Okay. So here's the deal. We just get things, right? A lot of us, we're quick, we're fast. We're like, okay, you got it. And then of course they're new. So they're like, yep. And they don't have it. And then you send them off. And then you're like, wait, what is happening here? I explained everything to you this morning. The problem is we explain things like this much, right? We give them the tiniest bit when they should be getting a lot of it. And then we're confused. And honestly, it always comes back to us. Always. You either hired a bad apple or you just didn't train them. There is no other problem in the situation. Tell me which one. You could be like, yeah, but they turned on me, or they did this on me, or right. I get it. But at some point we started to tolerate bad behavior. It always comes back to us. Now, these 9 things, please, I gave you these because I kick myself when I say, how did this person get on the team? What in the world did I miss here? And how did I miss this? And what happened? And it usually comes back to one of these 9. So be careful.